For this video, we're going to go over some conditions and attitudes that will help you become more mindful. So before we start, let's take a second to imagine that we're trying to grow a garden of flowers. Sure, we could throw a few seeds in some dirt in our backyard and hope for the best, but chances are nothing's going to grow. But if we had good sunlight, soil, fertilizer, and water, our flower would be way more likely to successfully grow. Now, the practice of mindfulness is like tending to a garden. Both mindfulness and our garden are more likely to grow when certain conditions are met. There are generally 8 conditions that are regarded as necessary in order to help you become more mindful. So let's go over those 8 conditions right now. And the first quality you'll need in order to cultivate your mindfulness is a beginner's mind. This quality of awareness sees things as new and fresh, as if for the first time, with a sense of curiosity. Having a beginner's mind means having an attitude of openness, eagerness, and a lack of preconceptions. It can help relieve pressure we put on ourselves, and because we don't have preconceptions about how things are supposed to be, it can help us see things for what they really are. The second quality you'll need in order to cultivate your mindfulness is a non-judgmental stance. Having a non-judgmental stance means having a dispassionate or detached stance with regard to any experience you're going through. So that just means trying not to label thoughts and feelings or sensations as good or bad, right or wrong, fair or unfair, but simply taking note of thoughts, feelings, or sensations in each moment. Being non-judgmental will help you become less reactive, less critical, less hard on yourself in difficult experiences you might face in your daily life. And recalling back to our talks about stress, if we don't perceive an event as threatening, we're less likely to have a stress response and more likely to feel resilient. The third quality you'll need in order to cultivate your mindfulness is acknowledgement. By practicing acknowledgement, you're becoming aware and validating experiences that are going on instead of denying them. So for example, say that your friend makes a better score on their exam than you. You might start to feel a little jealous, especially if you studied really hard for that exam. Now, in that moment, you could acknowledge that you're feeling jealous, or you could deny it and say that you don't care. While you might think that denying that you feel jealous will make the jealousy go away, you're only struggling with that emotion and making the jealousy stronger. But by acknowledging our negative emotion and recognizing that we are jealous, we can then start to understand why it is that we feel that way and work toward finding a solution to resolve our emotion and ultimately our situation. Now, the fourth quality you'll need in order to cultivate your mindfulness is non-striving. Now, in this context, striving means struggling or fighting vigorously to be somewhere you're not, which is the opposite of being mindful and being in the present moment. But why is it that we strive? Well, we typically strive when we don't like where we are. So, for example, if we're doing homework and we start to feel bored, we strive to be away from that negative feeling of boredom, and then we instead turn on our music to avoid the boredom. So if we want to attain a quality of non-striving, that means we're not struggling with negative emotions. We're not moving away from negative thoughts, feelings, or events that happen in the present moment. In other words, non-striving just means not trying to get anywhere other than where you are right now. Now, the fifth quality you'll need in order to cultivate your mindfulness is called equanimity. Imagine having a sense of mental peace and composure even in difficult situations. Well, that's the definition of equanimity. Oftentimes, we're faced with stressful experiences. Our minds begin to race from thought to thought, making it difficult to stay in the present moment. But with a calm mind, it's easier to be mindful. And with a calmer mind, we'll also have greater insight into how our mind works and why we perceive things the way that we do. Now, the sixth quality you'll need in order to cultivate your mindfulness is the quality of letting be. Now, letting be just means that we let our experiences be as they are. We try accepting them without trying to change whatever is happening in the present moment. So in life, we've all experienced many challenges, and we're going to continue to experience challenges like getting broken up with, failing an exam, or even experiencing the death of a loved one. And it's not easy to embrace these challenging events when they happen because they hurt and make us suffer, and we're wishing those things never happened. But if we start cultivate the quality of letting be and begin accepting events that happen, we're then going to be more likely to cope with future challenges in a way that's different and view them from a different perspective. We'll begin to accept them instead of resisting them. By accepting or letting be, I'm not saying that you have to do nothing about the crisis that occurred. But what I am saying is that once you accept it and acknowledge that you just experienced this challenge, you'll be able to respond in a healthy way that will lead to peace. The seventh quality you'll need in order to cultivate your mindfulness is the quality of self-reliance. Self-reliance just means that you trust yourself and your abilities. It's important because it can help you develop confidence in yourself. The more you develop your self-reliance and trust in yourself, the more likely you'll be able to feel safe when confronting challenging or uncomfortable thoughts or events you might experience. And finally, the eighth quality you'll need in order to cultivate your mindfulness is the quality of self-compassion. Unfortunately, many of us aren't very nice to ourselves. In fact, for many of us, we're our own biggest bullies. Self-compassion means cultivating a love and kindness for yourself as you are, without self-blame or criticism. The thing is, most of us probably would never treat another person as harshly as the way we sometimes treat ourselves. Cultivating self-compassion is important because it's like having a best friend with you when you're stressed. So say your best friend does badly on an exam or accidentally forgets to attend a club's weekly meeting. In that moment, how would you treat your friend? What would you say to them? That kind of compassion you show to your friend is the same kind of compassion you should be showing yourself. Having self-compassion can help you become more resilient during stressful times. Self-compassion will naturally grow as you practice meditation, and bringing this quality into your experience of anxiety can be like being your own best friend in the midst of hardship, offering your hand in the moment when help is needed. As your self-compassion grows, you'll come to know that you are there for yourself, and your anxiety will naturally decrease. Reflecting on these 8 qualities and trying your best to work on developing them will do wonders for growing your mindfulness and will make it easier for you to meditate.